at 5:30. Let's call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Steve Harris.
Here.
Carol Hunkop. Here. Jay Jones. Here. Jean Monroe. Here. Lexi Murphy. Here. Okay, all present. That means a quorum. Thank you for your attendance. Attendance and guests, we had you all sign in, and at the appropriate time, we'll have you introduce yourselves and why you're here if you're on for an agenda item. Speaking of the agenda, we do have one change to our agenda, a requested change, which you see that email in front of you. For number 13, they have requested to go to next meeting, the 15th. They're asking for another meeting time other than tonight. So if you have the material, but you will not have them here to discuss it until the 15th. So I just need a motion to approve the agenda with that being tabled until the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda
This week.
taking off on the 13th.
Okay, thanks, Jean. And Jay has seconded. Jean has made the motion and Jay has seconded to approve the agenda with the deletion of the item 13, the nuisance hearing for the Myers, to be postponed until the 15th. Do I have any other discussion or questions? Otherwise, all in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. All ayes, motion carries. Item 6 is to approve the minutes from the 4/24 special meeting / workshop. I did include some material on the workshop, which is not really required, but since we had a discussion of, I figured it would be useful to have in the notes for our reference. So there's a little bit, not really much of discussion of details, but just to reference what we talked about topic-wise. I know you guys didn't have as much advance notice on this, my apologies for that, so I'm going to take a minute to skim through that and make sure we've got everyone attributed properly.
I'll make the motion to approve the plans.
I'll second it.
Or the minutes.
Minutes, okay. All right, Lexi's made the motion and Carol has seconded to approve the minutes from the 4/24/23 special meeting / workshop. Is there any other discussion or questions or changes requested? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from 4/24/23 special meeting / workshop, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. Heard all ayes, motion carries. Your payment of claims, item 7, approved payment of claims are on tan paper this time. Keep me guessing. You see the claims, and there are a couple additional claims which involve the GO bond payments, sizable amounts there that were scheduled.
Did we know that was coming through? Or was it a surprise?
It was a bit of a surprise, but we found some paperwork, yeah.
You found it all.
Found it.
Good job.
And then you said, ooh, why did I find this?
Now, so you will be seeing these in further in advance, probably when we get a nicer put together schedule. We'll provide that to you so you can see where they all go and when they come due.
Now, this ENC insurance, that's for all the new since April 1st, I'm guessing?
Yeah, there are some policy changes.
Okay. Cover everything.
That's right.
Okay. I'd ask you the difference, but I don't know the detail of that from last year. Because I know we've added by making it replaces.
You'll note we do have the salt and sand calculation. Remember, we said the huge
Yes.
number of that, so there's our total, $6,600.
Yep. Well, they said it was going to be a lot.
So for this UMB, like the general capital loan for 60,000. What is?
The payment that's due,
Yeah.
yeah, that's after GO bond from 2017.
That never got paid or?
It's just
No,
on the
that's it.
schedule of like 20 to 30 years, usually that's
Oh,
when that bond
okay.
goes out. So these are all part of the payments. You're slowly eating away interest and principal, and eventually you come out at the end. The zero. I don't know when our payoffs are on these, we can get that. Like I said, we'll get you the whole schedule now that we've discovered some of these. Make sure we all know what's coming when.
Got to be taken care of.
They're
Is
set
it
up for auto
yearly,
pay.
or is it every 6 months, or, you know?
This bigger amount is annual.
Annual, yeah, I think it's just annual.
Okay.
And then on auto pays for that.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the claims and the extras, all of them.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, Carol has seconded, Carol has motioned and Gina seconded to approve the payment of claims for the list as well as the additionals tonight. Do we have any other questions regarding any payments requested or totals, anything there?
Are we, never mind, it's already on the agenda. Sorry, last question.
Okay. So any other questions? Otherwise, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving payment of claims, including the additional, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed to say nay. All ayes, motion carries. Payment approved. Next up, we have South Bryan here to talk about their CAPS program. If you would introduce yourself for those who don't know you, Cole.
Hi, my name is Amy Schmidt, and I'm the high school business teacher at South O'Brien. This next fall, we're going to be implementing a CAPS program. CAPS stands for the Center for Advanced Professional Studies. It is a collaboration between business, community, and education, which provides students with a professional learning experience. What we do is we take students out of the typical classroom, we immerse them into a professional environment where we focus on innovation, problem solving, career exploration, and professional skills. Okay, our mission with CAPS is to prepare all students for their purpose while providing value to the businesses and the organizations that we work with within the South O'Brien School District area.
Is there a lot of the other schools doing this already?
Yeah, it's becoming, it's coming into Northwest Iowa more so. It started in central Iowa. Actually, it's worldwide, but in Iowa, it's kind of started in central Iowa, and it's kind of moving up into Northwest Iowa. We are in what you might call the third cohort. So we're the third group that started it. And we, along with Cherokee Hinton and Ridgeview, are in their third
We're
section.
joining this year. So the Siouxland CAPS was first. That was like MOC and Sioux Center and Sheldon. And then there was another smaller group that did incorporate Cherokee and
West Sioux.
West Sioux. And then we would be the third group in this area to join this. And so Mrs. Schmidt has been going through quite a bit of training to launch this program within our district. It's a phenomenal opportunity for our kids, and it is also a great opportunity for the businesses within our communities. And so what we will be doing is we'll be reaching out, and we already have started that process. Mrs. Schmidt went to Sutherland. We will also be joining Paullina as well as Pembroke. We reached out to all communities meeting with our business partners and looking at ways that we can work together on certain projects. So for some examples last year I went to a showcase for this, and it really piqued my interest, and so then kind of started getting this going. And then Amy started with us this year and brought her in as the business instructor, and she will now be taking the CAPS program over as well. Some of the projects that I looked at, like one of them, they designed a dog park for the city of Sheldon. Another one it was a retired teacher that started a business, and the students were in charge of putting together all of the marketing. There was another one where they did like the menu and the website for a restaurant. So the possibilities are absolutely endless. And the reason that we are here to visit with you about this is not only to share the awareness of the CAPS program, which we will be launching in the fall, but also we are requesting that we could have access to the Lao Room for the CAPS program, and because it is to be off-site, off-campus. And so we would be looking at needing the facility for about an hour and a half a day, slightly less, but we would want to, kind of booked from 2 to 3:30 on school days.
All 5 days.
Correct. If there were like an exception, like a day, we can work around that. If you had it booked or somebody really needed it for that afternoon. In addition to that, we need technology, but we would provide that with your permission if you approve our use. So, we looked at, we of course want to keep it in town because of time-wise, right? Because our students would come over here for the last 2 periods of the day, which is 2 to 3:30. And we felt this would probably be one location. I did meet with Kiana Johnson, and this was one of the locations too she suggested, just because of the access to it and the availability. So that is why we are here. So. And as far as the technology goes, we have the funds for that, if you would be okay with that. Like we could do a couple different ways. We could bring in a TV and mount that, where you guys anyone could have access to that, or we could bring it in on a cart, like a smart board on a cart, where we can wheel it in and out. So those are a couple options that I have visited with our tech director. So.
And you're planning on starting right away in the fall?
In the fall. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shortly after school starts?
Yes. Are there other questions that we can answer about the program, what it looks like?
I think it sounds interesting.
I'm super excited about it, and we had, I think it's
8 students.
that we have registered, which is a really good number. Sheldon only had 5 this year. And we are also expanding our work-based learning opportunities for our students as well, looking at apprenticeships for our spring semester. So CAPS is really kind of a nice launch and a nice build from that as well. So.
I suppose we'll have to discuss if we're going to okay the Lao Room and stuff that are on the agenda. Right. Motion. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
We're super excited about it. It's just a great opportunity for kids, and they're called associates. The students, they refer themselves as associates. And just visiting, Amy and I both went to Orange City this year, and like I said, I went to a couple different things last year, and the way in which they handle themselves, it's just amazing, and to hear about their experiences and those soft skills that they have developed. And then we brought them in. We do a career fair up here at the high school now in the spring, and we actually brought MOC over, and they brought 2 of their students that have been involved in the CAPS program and presented to our kids, brought their projects. It was neat.
So it's not something they go around to like help like businesses?
They do work, they collaborate with the businesses, but they're not stationed in the business. Like they may go out and visit the business. Like so for example, like let's just use the bank. Okay, for an example, and they are doing a project for them. Well, they might go meet with Marty Weber or Paul Stroop or something, just to have a conversation about like an update as far as like how the project is coming along. Maybe like different things that they need to tweak, that sort of thing. But they are really working then like their office space. So for example, like Orange City uses Staples. They have a huge area there.
Oh yeah.
So depending on the town, their locations are all different, but the whole idea is to get them out of the school into like a business atmosphere.
And they start already as freshmen, or how does that?
We're really targeting juniors and seniors.
Okay, I can see that.
Yes.
When the ones that are getting ready to go to college or whatever. Okay. Oh, very interesting.
So who teaches the students the actual skills they'll need to, so the jobs that are offered, the jobs, would have to be something that you know how to do to be able to convey?
They work hand in hand with the business.
So the business does the training?
If there's any that's needed, but we're talking about if you had, as a business, if you had a list of 10 different projects that you wanted to get done throughout the year, this would probably be 8, 9, and 10 on your list. So these are not make or break projects, okay? But these are things that you would like to have done, they're meaningful, but you just probably won't have time to get to it. And so these students can help you do that. Doing a bunch of social media stuff, you know, for example, that. And right now, like Mrs. Phillips said, I met with the community club from Sutherland, and so I've got some business people that have already started to put things on the project board. And then we will look at that project board and see which projects meet our students the best. And that's kind of how we'll go from there. And then they touch base with them on a regular basis.
So Mrs. Schmidt will do more of the training of like the soft skill, like that, the professional attributes, that type of thing. As far as like the work with the business itself, that's the kids. The kids are doing that work. They may consult with the business partner, but there's really not training per se within the CAPS program.
And we do training with the soft skills, also with Siouxland CAPS.
Yeah. There's like a curriculum.
So they get graded on this and everything too, or no?
There are no tests, there's no
They're gonna love
homework,
that.
anything like that. But they're graded on a daily basis, just as you and I would be at work.
Sure.
So then I work with the, whoever they're working with,
The business or whatever.
and that's how we come up with a grade, making sure that they meet competencies.
Sounds interesting.
It does.
Any other questions for them? Okay, awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for allowing
Thank
us
you
to-
very much.
You bet.
I'm off to a track meet, so.
Okay.
Thanks again. Have a good night.
Yep, nice seeing you girls. Good luck
Thank you.
with it.
And item 9, approve the cost share for the sprinkler system boost pump for the Swanson Sports Complex. This,
We just need a whole new spring, or a whole new pump in it, or what?
it was never put in. Apparently they were, back in the day when it was put in, there was the option with the boost pump and without. And the option was chosen without the boost pump. And in rainy years, it works okay, because then you're covered by Mother Nature. But the last year was really a hard one. They can't get it coordinated, you know, they don't have enough coverage, and it gets really bad dry spots, and the field gets dry, and then everything's not the greatest. So this is something that had been part of the original plan, and this is the full amount, so they're asking for half of this to be shared.
So it'll be 1,600 something.
Correct.
And then will they have that set up that it just goes off every so often? I mean, I know like the golf course does that, stuff like that, so.
And a lot of times they control when they want the field
Right.
wet, yeah.
And then if it doesn't need it, they'll just shut it down.
Does the school board have like, so we have like a 28E with them on a few things. Do they have like a board like that has that like something they, like maybe go around and be like, oh, maybe we need to go, I don't know how to say, like go around and check things and be like, oh, maybe we need to go, like the board, and then they bring it like to us, or do just like Heath regularly go down there and be like, oh, we need it, or do like the managers be like, oh, do we need it, and then
Right,
They
right
just-
now it's coming from Heath, he's been the manager there, and obviously he's stepping in, handing, as of today, he officially hands it to Taylor and DJ, who are the baseball coaches. And so this request, and then they also had a toilet break, they had some other things, so they turned the water on, and things out there, there's just part of the other maintenance, and they're not really requesting their participation for that, but technically on our agreement from that contract, it's just a shared cost situation. That's all we can find is this kind of
so
old
there's like
contract.
there's no more
rules about-
28E like board.
No, it doesn't say anything else, it just says we're gonna, I don't know when this came about or how long ago, but it's, the only contract we found was
somewhat dated, doesn't have a date, but it was like dated language, you could tell, and it said something about 4 pages of information that they said they've never seen and we've never seen about the So that could be part of it, but otherwise it's just been a continued collaboration between the two entities to try to keep that place alive and well, and bringing people to town for ball games, at least for a couple months out in the summer. And
Yeah, you know, I don't think I've ever seen a written agreement between us and the school,
that contract.
that contract. So, most of in the past, I think it was just, as far as I can remember, being on the council, word of mouth, and,
Right, kind of when they set up that whole Swanson's Lake, I think.
yeah, but there should be.
I just didn't know, cause like, I mean, like they have the school board and then there's like 28E, sometimes like some, like I think I just heard there was like a 28E board, or I didn't know if there was.
Yeah, there should be a 2080 agreement.
There's not technically that terminology in any of this. This came from, I think, Swanson family when they first maybe gave
Yeah.
that land.
That's
where
to the
it's
city
so-
and to
I
be
don't think
used for
anyone has
children.
really messed with it
It was
since then.
considered to be used for children because that's when they debated on having a swimming pool.
That was back to
And
then.
that was the first thing. And then they said, well, that's kind of dumb because we've got the lake out here, why would we put a swimming pool? And at the same time, Sheldon was having problems with their swimming pool, trying to keep it up because the leaks and the different things and enough people to use it. And so then it went, and that's when I think they set up the whole baseball, softball fields.
So the Swanson agreement was between the city and the school.
Yeah, so I'll get you a copy of that.
I think that's kind of how it started.
Pages.
Because it had to be for kids.
And then what about like budget wise, where like,
That's usually provided to you. You had that in the fall, the 14,000, and they split it. And then there are additional, this was not on the agenda, you were on his request,
right,
itemized out previously.
Yeah, I suppose they feel as long as everybody's happy with it, they're not doing anything with it. School does have, we do have.
Yeah, we just kind of, in the past apparently.
wait,
that's
will it
how
come,
it's-
like, is it gonna be over the 14,000 they've already spent, or will it come out of that
That's
14,000?
Ours
wages
is seven,
and stuff.
I mean,
Is it?
7,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be, like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
we're gonna be over the 7.
I don't know if they have a general amount.
They do, yeah, it was on that agenda, we had that previously, this budget, anyway, had it itemized out with their salaries,
Right.
and then the couple things you're approving, those couple trees we planted out, has anyone seen them? They look
No, are they out there
What
right
is-
now?
they're tiny, but no problem.
Yeah, what was our contribution on that? Was it $1,000, our portion of that, recall?
I think it was like
1,200.
I was gonna say around
1200.
1,200, I think. too. Yeah.
Five.
I think it was like $2,500 altogether.
Yep.
But yes.
So this pump's costing $14,000?
Huh?
1,400.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Oh, ours are- No, the total
300.
annual agreement between the two is the 14 halves each 7. That covers the general operation and a few upgrades every year. Now, apparently back in the beginning, the city did the cement work there, and then the school paid for all the buildings and the press box and the, and all of that. The dugouts got redone. Just getting some history from him in the past, but
We know we budgeted 7,000.
I don't know to see what else is on it.
I
That's typically.
didn't bring mine tonight.
Oh, for the
Because he usually
budget.
pretty.
Our portion was 7,000.
Yeah, it was.
And so what does that come out to be for the half? 1,500?
This would be about 16.
About 60.
Yeah, because it's
13,
32,
13,
37.
50 cents.
So if you count the trees and this pump, we're up to $2,800 already.
Right, the trees were on that request.
On the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah,
With the 7?
that was included, so this, I don't think was itemized out, but it could be something else he could not do or something new.
Yeah, well, they feel like maybe we can use.
But this pump, it isn't.
Does
push
it include
pressure.
like, it doesn't include like the electrician or anything, yeah.
It said to wire the clock, that meant, I think there was probably a timer on it.
That's what I would say. the thing that's good about it is if they get busy and we don't, now we got a clock and you got a timer. Now when they get busy, oh, hey, I forgot to shut water off down there. It could be running a lot longer. And I'm not saying that ever happens, but I can see it happening because you get busy with something else and, oh, I never shut that water off. So maybe this is a better way to go with a timer, off and on.
Well, they probably won't do it without a timer.
I wouldn't think so, not with this. But when you do this on your own, I don't know.
If you were out last year, you probably saw just where it runs out. It can't quite get enough pressure to flow far enough out for how it was designed, because the design, like I said, apparently they gave the estimate with this included, and then whoever, council or city, school board, whatever, then voted to take that out of it. So they've survived, but it's, as we get a drier year, and who knows what we're gonna get this year. Tonight, whether it's gonna be a problem, but they just get a lot better coverage. This Van Holland is the one who put that system in, so it's gonna be perfectly matched to it anyway, I guess is what I was told.
Well, we just have to watch what we spend there. Like I said, if we go $1,600 for this pump, now we're up to $2,800 with the trees and the pump.
We're talking fiscal year '23 budget, we are, shortly could turn into, well, while the season still exists there, it will go into fiscal year '24 budget, so that's partly why you've got a little split. The timing is through is in the middle of our fiscal year is in the middle of their season essentially when they're using it, so there's somewhat of a split there, so I would think we could accommodate for that.
Check the budget.
Mhm.
We're at this year.
We don't necessarily know what we
Spent last year.
spent last year.
Or this past so far this year. In July on last year.
I'll do that. On that.
Am I out of line if I ask a question?
Well, since we're waiting for that report, I will let you.
When Lloyd and I managed the golf course, we switched from Pepsi-Cola to Coke. And by doing that, Coca-Cola gave us $5,000 for doing that. And since the sports complex has a concession stand, I don't know what they serve out there for their drink, but this might be an option for them to go to one of the beverage companies and say, hey, we'll serve your beverage out here, but we would like some compensation for doing that. And the $5,000 that we got from Coke helped put the water on the golf course. So it's an option.
Most of the time they give, if you serve their pop, they give you a new scoreboard or something.
Well, it might be something to ask about.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the scoreboard came from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
So,
when they did,
yeah.
That's a good thought, though.
basketball
Yeah, well, it's
courts,
just a
But
good
it wouldn't-
idea to check with them.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to ask,
mean,
if they
yes.
wouldn't, give you
If the
some money, it
school-
would help
And I would think
offset
the
this
school would know
pump.
that too.
Right.
Yeah, say Miss Phillips just left, she might know.
But
But they
don't-
are tied into some sort of contract, I believe, as a school, so that would still possibly be a.
but the whole thing about the concession stands is the sports boosters run it. And as a separate thing to, yeah. So they have to deal with it, the school actually doesn't.
Touch that.
Well, Brenda's on the school board, bring it up.
Yeah, well, they're
That would
also
be a
looking at
conflict.
planning ahead, they want to put in new lights there and to
Yeah.
the football field.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Well, they
they
looked
did
at that
ask.
when we were
So
doing our
yeah,
city
ouch.
lights, and it was about what, over $500,000, I think it was, or wasn't it, or $750,000.
Quarter. So that's,
That'd be our half too, so.
right, so it could get bigger there as that plan has to, at some point, take over, but any sort of upgrades, I don't think there was, the annual maintenance is what that contract fulfills, but beyond the bigger picture, like I talked about how, yeah, we've got a line of evergreens and we're replacing a few of them, but really we should have already started about 10 years ago, the next version row behind that, so that you have some spacing. and it's ready when the other ones die, but that kind of planning has to be part of the budget too, and your ideas, not just after the fact, so.
Right. Yeah, and they need the same thing. These guys say what they need, what's gotta be done.
And
You
start
know,
saving,
so that we know.
start saving the
You know, you
$1,000
talk
a year.
about putting new lights up to baseball field, softball field, football field, but I think the school needs to look at keeping the cost up around the new, all the new school projects before they do that. Because that's dropping a lot of money on the communities already, because everybody's assessment went up. Mine went up 40%. Mine, so how much more am I gonna be paying on that assessment?
That's tied directly into that, though.
Your assessed value of your house is how much
Yes,
you pay.
what you're doing now isn't tied to what the school bond just did.
Yeah, that's not.
No, not this, but I'm just
No,
saying.
Or the other
even
one.
that school thing.
Yeah,
Your
that's not
assessment
the
came
next one.
before that.
Yep.
So they go off that?
They will go after your
Will.
assessed value, what they charge you for this new.
Right.
Yes.
$2
Yeah, mine went
or
up
whatever
$2 for every, how much?
per thousand, but you're not there yet, that's coming
No.
for,
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is it's gonna go up though. You're gonna be paying more, because my assessed value. of my
but your
house is-
assessed value hasn't gone up in like 20 years.
No, right.
No, but it went up 40%. No, it went up last year, 10,000, and it went up 40,000 this year.
Gold-plated cabinets, that's one.
Yeah, but that wasn't from the school.
No, but that's, but I'm
But
just
it's another
saying,
thing you're adding
you
on,
gotta,
yes.
you gotta watch it, it's not the best economy right now, that.
Yeah, they're not talking now, they just got it, they know they want to plan ahead for
Yeah,
it, so they're
But that's what I'm just
saying.
saying, I'm just
if they-
saying,
if Swanson's
I'm just saying the
included-
lights are not a
Okay.
high priority right now.
No, but it's another
And
one of those
and we
things.
told them that
Well,
once before when we were doing the city lights, because we had to get those done, because those were dangerous. They were falling down and the wires were all shedding.
That was the biggest problem with those.
Yeah.
I think they're just coming out, so.
Do we want to move to the next one?
Are you having any luck over there, Michelle? Nope. No, can't find that.
Well, maybe just let us know.
Doesn't
Let's just
matter.
get her.
I'm just concerned that if we get into this and there's some capital improvements or something that they need to do that we or they didn't account for, we're gonna have to be cautious that way.
Yeah, just keep.
I know the pump would help them greatly, but I'm wondering myself if it's necessary.
Well, we still have our same cost deal on water, so it's not like you're giving them carte blanche to run more water on the field, it's just that the water we still only have a $1,000 exposure on that, so they haven't fit anything beyond,
They do the first, we do afterwards.
and then they do after that.
Yep.
So is anyone in favor or in opposition to said estimate and request? Item 9 on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, Carol's made a motion to approve the shared cost of the booster pump for the sprinkler system for Swanson's baseball and softball fields.
I'll second.
And Jean has seconded.
Tell them no more surprises though.
No
We're
more
done.
surprises, no toilets, no nothing, okay?
We're done for the year.
So we've had a motion and a second to approve the cost share to the extent of $16.13 to the city for the sprinkler system boost pump on Swanson Sports Complex. Any other questions or concerns, clarification? Then all in favor of approving the cost share for the sprinkler system to Swanson, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay.
Nay.
That is 3 to 2. Steve and Lexi, nay. Carol, Gina, and Jay as AI. AI. And Jay, so that passes. All right, number 10, Kelly would be here to tell you about it, but we do have. Oh, I turned it off. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, why is it on? I'm terrible at this. Number 10, consider camera exploration to address sewer issues. We have some guests here today who would like to talk about their sewer situation.
Very much so.
Okay, feel free, guys.
All right, I'm Jim Gamer, it's my wife Wendy. First I'm going to give you a brief past history. 10 years ago, in 2013, we moved to town on West Bertha, and we lived there 3 months, and the Orangeburg pipe from the city hookup to our house was crushed. We came up City Hall and they said, well, from the street to your house is your responsibility, not the city's. And so we spent $8,000 at Mark's Plumbing, Jim Howe, dig it all up and replace everything. $8,000 I wrote a check for. Since then, 3 or 4 years later, we moved to the north side of town, bought a house, hadn't had no problems until about later on in the first year. Come home one night, sewage all over the basement, okay? Tore the carpet out, tore the paneling out, everything like that, cleaned the floors and all that. Had the city come, they ran through the line, all that, and it was plugged down the street somewhere, not even close to our house, it ain't our problem. And so they did that year, shouldn't take care of the problem. Next year, same thing, come home one night, about 9 months, a year later, same thing. Following year, and every time I talk to the city, why can't you figure it out or whatever. Next year, third year, same problem. Fourth year, same problem. My neighbors all know it that are sitting here. The fifth year, this year, happened twice now. We clean up our basement, the brown water sewage that comes in our basement, and I talk, the city guys are good. They come, after they go to Hartley for 2 or 3 hours to get the truck, then they come and take care of it. The whole time, sewage is coming in our basement. Okay, so they're good about it, but it doesn't solve the problem. When I talk to city guys and they say that, well, we'd have to dig up the whole street to figure out what the problem is or whatever. Well, I think it's time to dig up the whole street.
So it's the city's problem, is what I'm saying, is what I'm getting out of the fight.
Because the city told me 10 years ago when we moved to town,
Right,
that from the house to the city thing is your problem. I spent $8,000.
right.
Now, it's not my problem. It's a half block down or a block down. It's in the city line,
Right.
not my problem.
Do you
But
have
yet-
problems, Charlie?
It doesn't affect us, thank goodness.
We're at the end of the line. It's
Right.
the end
We
of
had
our house.
problems on Maple Street too, and we
Are
had to
you the
fix
only
it.
one that has that then?
Because we're at the end of the line.
Do you not have a check valve to keep it from?
It's probably, well, it doesn't cure the problem.
No, it won't stop it?
It doesn't cure the problem.
No, it
Check
doesn't
bill.
cure the problem, but it saves.
Doesn't check bill.
Stop,
you know.
stop.
Right, but it doesn't cure the problem.
Plug that bill, then at least other people.
But anyhow, that's my problem. I'm getting tired coming home. We can't leave on vacation, wondering if we're gonna come home to 2 feet of water in our basement.
Right.
So,
Especially with sewage in it.
and like I say, I talked to Kelly, and she was here tonight. I think that's why he's gone, because he knew I was coming.
No, he's okay, he's okay.
I'm just kidding. He's been good about it, and all the city guys are good. I want to stress that. But even Michelle knows, as soon as we got a problem, she can tell her house, can't you? You told me that. Yep. Charlie knows, because he looks out the window, he can see the truck out there all the time.
Do you
Can't
have
you?
problems, Michelle?
Yeah, you
When
talked
they
there
have
about a week
problems,
ago.
we have the.
She can smell it in her house.
The smell.
Okay.
So anyhow, after 5 years, and I paid my share when it was my responsibility. So now let's get the city to take care of the problem.
So from what Kelly has shared is that, yes, they can't figure it out, they run the sewer.
They run the jet,
I know they have that on Main Street as well.
Yes, because
With
the grocery
businesses.
store, the grocery store was backed up last week too.
No, but
Yes,
they did
it
that
has
twice.
every 3 weeks.
Now they had to get
Yep.
jerky.
And it's not in in any of the businesses, it's something to do with the city too on Main
He
Street.
thinks, when I talked to Kelly, they go down a block from our house, they go to the manhole, and they'd open up our manhole up in front of our street out there, and it's full of groundwater, okay? So then they know they gotta go down further, somewhere else, because probably everybody else is on our block, where it's just backing up, because we're at the end. So
Right,
they go down to the end, it's dry, so they go get the truck, they bring the jet, they go up through it, they can, all of a sudden, it'll stop, and they know they hit something. They can't tell what it is, because once they hit through it, they back up and give it more power, they hit through it, well, it's gone, they don't know what it is.
right.
But it could be a crack in the pipe, and then stuff gathers up on it, who knows, you know, I don't know
They've
what it is.
never ran a camera through it.
No,
They don't have a camera.
No, I know, but we've done it for our neighbors who had the same problem,
Yeah.
on and on and on, and they
Yep.
got the camera from Cherokee, so I guess I
Right.
don't understand after
They've
5
never ran,
years.
5 years, Kelly's been there every time. Nobody's ran a camera through it. And for 5 years, we keep buying bleach and sweeping and squeeging
Yeah,
our
they did the
floors.
same thing.
Yep, so it's getting old.
I think it's, yeah.
So,
Yeah, but your neighbors wasn't the city.
No, it was not the city.
Right,
It's a
But
guy-
I don't
yeah.
understand why we're not getting a camera.
Well,
Well,
the
I don't
camera will
either.
help figure it out, that's what
That's
they're
what I
asking.
feel.
so before the meeting this evening, right when I was getting off work, Kelly called me. Said he had a track meet, he couldn't, he had to attend, so he wouldn't be at the meeting, but he, asked me to, let you guys know that he called Jim Howe. They have a camera and they can camera this. He asked him for an estimate first for our permission. He hasn't gotten back to him with an estimate.
I don't
But,
think we need an estimate, I think we
He's-
just need to do it.
I
well,
agree.
he's hoping to hear within the next day, to see if he can do it and what the cost is gonna be. But Kelly didn't think it was gonna be very much. He thought maybe,
I think it's time to do your guys' and the
I
Main Street and Migley.
Jim Howell's the one who ran the camera through my street, that's why I hired him. He ran it out from our house out, and you can see where the Orangeburg pipe was
Right,
crushed.
where it was broken.
And so like I say, he said if he went out the front, he would have to hand dig the whole thing because all the city utilities are on our side of the street, fiber optics, electric, everything. So he said, let's go to the alley. So we did, and like I said, $8,000 later, but I paid it with no questions asked, and then the response from the
And
city.
it was fixed then, right?
Yeah, but the city administrator at that time just says, well, turn it in on your insurance. Well, if I turned this in on my insurance 5, 6 times now in the last 5 years, you know what my insurance rate would be?
Oh,
And I pay my sewer bill every month.
I pay $30 a year for utility insurance. Do you ever look at that?
Well, I shouldn't have to.
right,
Well, yeah,
especially
but-
when it's
But
the
it's,
city's fault.
but if you have to replace a sewer line, you said $8,000.
Well, that was when it
it's
first
only your
moved to town,
deduct- it's only- Yeah, it's only your deductible.
Yeah.
It's not 8,000, I have
His
it.
problem isn't his problem, it's the city's
It is
problem.
the
Well, it's the
city's.
city's problem.
Thank goodness it doesn't back up enough that I get it.
well, we don't,
Yeah.
We don't know that it's a city problem for sure, but the
Yeah.
camera
Right.
will
The
for
smell.
sure.
Charlie,
Well,
camera
it's a
will let
city
you know.
problem. 5 years in a row, Kelly told me it's a city problem.
It appears to be, I'm just saying the camera will
Yeah.
show you
Yeah.
where we can fix it instead of just jetting it out. That's
Now
what
we'll
I'm
make, just
saying.
make
Jetting
the
is
motion that we
doing nothing.
need to camera.
well, see, I suggested to Kelly to go ahead and
Right.
do it. He thought maybe it would be $1,200 to $1,500.
That's not bad.
and-
Well, we just spent, I mean, $1,600 on per
Yeah,
hour,
I-
so might as well
Yeah.
spend the money to go get
I'm
cameras.
sure if it backed up in every one of your guys' things, it'd be taken
Yeah.
care of pretty darn quick.
Oh, it happened on me, on our house, yeah.
But it'd be taken care of.
I
And
agree,
Kelly
I
is talking
agree.
about, once he gets them here with the camera, that there's other sewers that he'd like
Yep.
the camera also.
Okay,
I think that he should do that.
Yeah,
yep.
So I will make
This
the
is not
motion
fair to
that
anybody to
we
put up with this.
get the camera on all
No.
of the, on the sewers and on the,
I wish you'd have been here a long time ago.
whatever
Yeah.
one
City Hall
Kelly
a couple
thinks we
times,
need
they
done.
said
Now,
turn
you're
it on your
saying
insurance.
downtown has problems yet?
Yes,
Well, then their person didn't fix it right then.
Did-
When they
no.
redid their sewer.
so the only thing that was done up there was clean outs. So they could get in it to clean it out, because they weren't able to get in there to do.
Oh,
demand.
well then they.
So they just put risers on it so they could get in there for a clean out.
That's where, with yours?
With Juniors and Bernard and the grocery store,
Oh,
like,
on Main
they,
Street?
yeah.
Okay.
Because they're running off a spur line yet.
Yep.
They got their own line that runs down to Broadway.
But that's what that was clean outs there.
So Lexi's made the motion to approve them
To get the
get
cameras
the cameras
done.
to track these at least 4 or 5 or 3 to 5 primary locations all in one visit so that we can get answers for all of our homeowners and business owners to know the answer. Do we have a second to Lexi's motion?
I'll second that.
And Jamie seconded. Okay,
Thank you.
is there any other further discussion? Questions? Okay, at this point, we have a motion and a second to approve the camera exploration to address the sewer issues at several key spots, as noted on your agenda. Any other discussion, or I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. All ayes, motion carried. We're gonna figure it out.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
If it is our
Oh,
fault, I'm
that's-
extra sorry. Okay. Next on our agenda then is to approve the fiscal year 21-22 annual urban renewal report, which is
That looks like
this
it was really a fun one.
green thing.
So it's all zeros on that one?
Well,
Well, no. An increment value used?
I guess we're not all, you
And
know.
then to find out, what, due the 1st of December?
Well,
Well, you said this hasn't been filed yet, then?
this is now submitted, well, and it has to be council approval though, so yes.
Did we have to pay like a fine or anything since we didn't get it done in December?
I haven't said anything about that, it's just that it came up, and normally in a normal year, the state said they would have found this out sooner, which I asked why it took so long.
a normal year
But they haven't had a normal year, so they
So they let us
apologized,
go
but
too.
yeah,
Well.
so now we get to do this extra
So
step.
explain it,
because-
what this is.
Oh gosh, you want
Well,
that?
just now I don't need five hours of it, just a short little synopsis.
So these are all your special tax increment financing areas, urban renewal. So you'll see the business park and wherever basically you had a GO bond, which we just were talking about the payments there, the agrivision, the water sewer line was lumped into that, I guess, and the business park to pave that. The number 2 projects, there are no page numbers, this thing was really convoluted to print, sorry, I can't tell you where. The icon for agrivision was part of it. What else, tax districts, I think that's basically telling you.
How many more
Business Park
rebates
West
do we
then
have
is
out
on there.
for agriculture?
I think it's just the 3rd years was a 3-year deal, so I think we're done.
God, it should be past 3 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like we're done fast there, but.
That's why it says 0, but that's where I'm reading it.
The whole
Fiscal
thing
year
sucks is
23.
that business park was like 200,000.
So bunkers out there doesn't have any more?
No, well, that's Business Park West, zeros.
They're 413,
The 6th.
Garfield Avenue. Page.
What is this?
Says bunkers due to water and sewer and West Law 2023. Project final rebate 2023.
It's showing
Still
here,
on bunkers,
it's showing the
rebates
TIF
down here,
thing,
68,560.
the agrivision's till 2031.
Yeah.
That's their, they get their special tax deal, yes. Business Park West, so yes, the bunkers.
So I thought bunkers, it says it should be till 2030.
Yes. So that was your latest one, the West.
But the amount is still 0.
Revenue, or where you look at, where are you at? What page you're on?
The tip, I don't know what page I'm on, but it says tip expenditure amount 0, tied to debt, tied to project. And it says non-rebates for Paullina Business Park West, that page, but it says that they're supposed to be going till 2030. See what I meant?
Yeah.
Like the 3rd page from the last.
Yeah. That's the rebate for Paullina Business Park West.
I think that might be the wrong one. Because I think this bunkers rebate thing, I think carries on to this one.
It goes on to that back and it says till
Yeah.
2030, but it
Last
says
payment.
the amount is still 0, way up at the top.
60, that's expenditure, your your total is 68,560. It's on the, and it's down there at the bottom, the principal. It's down that next page at the very bottom. I think there's a page out of the corner here. This thing was not funding, we didn't know which end was up. This is how we got it, so we tried to put it that way. Yes, this is just to show who and what you have outside your obligations and their tax benefits that they're getting and for how long. So this is kind of your best summary page, I thought, other than the first page, it shows your overall, but that shows your principal, your interest, your total, and the date that you started it. So 2017, 18, 2020, it had 3 of them when you were building it out for the West
Is that where it
Business
says debts and obligations? The top, is that the
Yeah.
one you're on?
Yeah, for the
Okay.
West.
Yep,
Business
the
Park.
retaining pond,
The
the whole
bump
bit.
And then it shows their rebate at the end, which that carries over.
So no one's really done yet.
I think so.
right?
No,
That's
no
what I'm
one's
saying, no
yet,
one's
I don't
done.
think. No.
Okay.
Urban renewal value. Anyway, this is part of, yeah, what is required. Property tax replacement claims of 61,834. So you can see your TIF debt outstanding.
So
It's
on
the
that
back
page,
there.
debts and obligations, it says bunkers rebate, it says principal, and then interest, why is there zero?
It's down here, then it flips to the next page. I think it's this little piece there, 6850. It's on the page before at the very.
Yeah, I'm on the debts and,
Yeah, this page, bunkers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's interest, it says zero.
right,
And then you're back up to your piece.
I'll go back, I'll just,
Date of last payment. There's this back here, yeah, so it's very confusing in this format, so I'm sure the auditor's office would be happy to walk you through. I did not ask for a lesson on it, so I cannot share my knowledge beyond what I've already
But this
done.
goes to the state, right?
This is to the state, right? So it was a state required report due 12/1. It is now done, and if you approve it tonight, it will then be officially considered filed with the state.
It's the same as, pretty much the same numbers as last year, except there was, the revenues are different.
You should have a
So-
couple payments out of there too.
Yeah.
Principal or interest.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the page where it has the total revenue and total expenditures, the expenditures on that page are zero.
Very top one? Which one is that?
Yeah, that's that one.
Okay, I know the right one. Okay.
And I don't know whether that would be at a zero, because last year it was not. I took my packet apart,
So you can
what-
see the
the second
jobs,
one.
rebates.
It's the very last page on this, is that the one?
For agrivision is,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the very last page.
So on the,
well, for
on the-
jobs.
on the business park west,
others not so much.
which is that page, second to the last page you have?
Here, this is, yeah,
Yeah,
very last page.
the very last page of that packet.
Yeah. And there's stuff on the back yet.
Yeah, so I,
Fund balance, yep, see, this is the my very last page.
you know, okay.
Bet you were happy to see Carol here that day.
You?
Holy Moses.
Yes, Carol from Primgar would be happy to tell you all she knows about this, which is a lot more than what I know about this one, since this came out of a surprise email Wednesday. But they'll show your dates of your key financing there and what you've done with it and what your totals are.
Yeah, we go to, we look at that same one, this is from last year.
So that's just a motion.
Same.
I move that we approve the FY 2021, 2022 annual urban renewal.
Okay, Jay's made a motion to approve the fiscal year 21-22 annual urban renewal report. Does he have support?
I'll second.
And a second by Jean. And a motion by Jane and a second by Jean to approve the fiscal year 21-22 annual urban renewal report for the state. Does anyone have any other questions?
But it has to be turned in before we can move forward. I think.
I guess,
Yes,
is this
I
why we're
assume
having
you-
another,
I
we have to
assume
have
you
a
passed.
public hearing again for our
Yes,
budget?
this is why that whole thing is tied to this, yeah.
well, at least you found out about it. I mean, like it or not, we needed to do it, so. You just had a horrible email.
Right after we were done with the other part. So, yes, I assume you've done this in the past you would have done it last
I don't remember it, but
November,
I don't remember either,
October,
but probably.
September, I don't remember either, but we did. Okay, hearing no other comments, we will call for a vote. All in favor of approving the fiscal year 21-22 annual urban renewal report as presented before you, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, Steve has noted a nay. This motion still passes and approved, okay? Next step in our process is a repeat of a previous process, thanks to this green paper. We have to do the budget hearing over.
because of this report.
Because of this report has to be in order, and that was out of order. So we,
So since we were supposed to have that done by the end of last month, are we gonna have to have a, like,
December was not.
they are considering.
no, like our
extension.
budget, like
Yeah,
we're
certified
not
by
gonna
the
get a
county.
fine or anything?
All certified by the county, so because the state has requested this, the state is going to likely give us that official permission to go with the
Excellent.
county, because today is technically a day
Yep.
late already with the county, even with its extension for the year of mayhem that it has been. So, not our mayhem, sorry, I should clarify, not our mayhem this time. So that is, again, everything is the exact same as last time, except the date at the top is now 5:15, which is our regular meeting, at 5:30, and it will be just like the last meeting, I assume, maybe. Maybe you could all ask the same questions, maybe you have new ones, but it's still gotta happen again, just like it did last time.
I will introduce a resolution to set the fiscal year 24 budget public hearing for Monday, May 15th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m.
Okay.
I will second.
Jean, and a second by Carol. Jean has introduced the resolution to conduct the public hearing on the proposed budget for 5:15 at May 15th at 5:30. Should clarify there at City Hall here for our next regular meeting. Do we have any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll call for a roll call vote.
Steve Herron,
Aye.
Carol Longcom,
Here.
Jay
Yes.
Jones.
I'm here too.
Jay Jones,
Yes.
Jean Enra,
Yes.
Lexi Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be all in favor, so the resolution passes to set the budget hearing, proposed budget hearing for that time and date.
Does that have to be clarified at the state too, or not? I mean, do you think it's right, or you have to say something to them? Or he
He's
knows?
hoping, yes, he told us to do this step, and then
Okay.
at our next meeting, so then he's giving us about 3 to 4 days after that to submit it to the county, so it should be
Okay.
then ready
So everything good, is good and roll.
to certify to the county.
Okay.
So now is item 13, which as we stated, if you have the material or have some of it, if some of you have had information regarding this, the Myers property, which is actually an empty lot to their west. And they are asking to have a hearing based on the abatement process as allowed by the ordinance. So you can hear from them next week.
2 weeks.
What's that?
2 weeks.
Oh, sorry, yes, 2 weeks. Seems like we've been meeting every week. We have been.
Yeah, we're here all the time.
2 weeks, okay. So we're up to reports. We have today starts the new electric rates and customer charges as we approved from previously a month ago with that ordinance. So those will start today. But you will also be happier to note that the adjustments for all seasonal rate corrections have been made, and they are on this bill. Unfortunately, our bill is so tiny, it doesn't allow us to print them and show that, so people will be like, well, that's weird, I didn't think I paid anything different, and they might call us and ask us a zillion questions, which Michelle's excited to answer. But we do have them on
your
there.
phone that just
It
says.
does say it on the bottom, it does say that this tries to explain it, but it's not as clear as we were hoping, because we entered in 2,500 lines of Excel documents and going through line by line for each person's for the correction total and the tax total.
Yes.
So,
And
yay.
you did 90% of them.
It's a lot.
I think 99 probably. I did a few.
Carol did a few.
I did a few. I got it down.
Finally, it was not fun. but that is now over and we will never forget that again. And so we have changed the rates for 5/1, but as you remember, June starts the next rate change for the summer rates. So we have to go in and do it again for the summer rates, but we're not gonna forget to turn them off this time. Or else I am not gonna be here. All right,
Don't
I'm
blame
not
you.
answering my phone. Building permit, oh, we had the Hans, yeah, Candy, would you like to speak about that for a second, or were you gonna talk at the end, or you're just here?
I'm just here.
Okay, well, we can discuss that in a second. The brand signs, the posters are beautiful, they're ginormous, and we're gonna wait until it's less windy to put them up, so that we don't knock down poles or something crazy.
They are huge,
But they're really big. Okay, Sawyer's right on top, we left them on top for you to look at. So all those will be put up, Kelly says maybe Wednesday it's less windy, and Primgar has been contacted, I think. I don't know what he found out if they were or not, but we will get Primgar to help us hopefully.
Good.
Those,
Sounds good.
Excellent.
yeah. The food truck, oh, I'm supposed to explain that. The food truck, there's their response. The chamber had their first food truck Monday today. Our first truck was a success. They said it was Tacos Torres. They said they had steady business and were very pleased with the turnout. With this being our first food day, we had a few things to change. We'll need 5 spaces to adequately provide space for the vendor because they pull in with a truck and a pickup, so it's kind of long. Since this is on a Monday and a few downtown businesses are closed that normally generate more vehicles on the parking, I think adding a couple extra spaces is doable. This is from a chamber member on the board. I will set out cones early in the morning or later on Sunday night, so hopefully no one moves them, but there were a few businesses that needed to be contacted to move their vehicles because they needed more space to pull in, and they were willing to do so, so that worked out. And we wait from there today, but there were.
Glad you did.
Yeah.
Randy did.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I forgot.
So I think it's
Well,
2
I got
weeks.
Sawyer
Since
thing,
it was
so we don't need
a,
food.
because I asked Michelle about the permit, and she told me since it was a non-profit, right, is what you
And
said?
it says, community permitted event is what the mobile food vendor license says on the application.
Okay.
Community permitted events and events on private property.
So events,
Private
like,
properties I do, I didn't know that. it
but
was-
like what kind of, like, in an event, like if there's, there have to be like an event, like, you know, like the chamber, like not, like Jamboree, that's kind of like an event, but usually we don't have an event on a Monday, so is this like, since we're doing it on a Monday, that's considered an event?
Community permitted event.
Yeah, what is that? I don't know what that means, I guess.
I don't know, something was previously worded. People, I can't read their minds, so I don't know what that meant, but
Cause I remember like.
nonprofits are allowed.
Yeah, cause when,
They don't need the permits.
Cause I remember like, an example was a few years ago, like if they, you might use Mr. Cayman if it was not, if it was on private property, like if it was on Iowa State, then you don't need a permit because it would fall under their insurance, so.
Theirs.
So if something would have happened, would it fall under our insurance, or how would that work because it wasn't an event?
Well.
It'd be on theirs because it's on their property.
But if it's on the street, it owns, the city owns.
Operation on
Yeah,
private
yeah.
property and community permitted events are exempt from obtaining a permit, and the other one has, the other part of that for the transient vendor or merchant part that kind of applied to this before food trucks became such a thing, was related to that nonprofit status, if you're, yeah, that's not on this page, but. Is this it?
So when you guys
So
have,
basically,
So
all
when
so
the,
when you guys have your
KT had-
jamboree and other stuff, they don't have to have a permit for that?
that's what Sandy said
But
years ago.
what article do you have there?
I was gonna say, I thought we'd have.
I was gonna say, I thought we always had to have a permit,
We do not.
because we asked the chamber to get their own insurance for something, I remember,
Yeah,
for
so
food
they have-
events and all.
They have their own insurance from it. So every vendor who comes to you has to, by the state, have their own license and
Right,
all
which,
that other
right,
business.
yeah, I knew that, but I always thought they had to fill out a permit, but.
I didn't realize that either, that it could be, if
No.
they're nonprofit, that they didn't have to have a permit. I know you don't have personal property,
Right,
you
Yeah.
have a truck come in.
Community permitted events are exempt from.
How do
because I
you know
remember
they're actually
KT got that
nonprofit?
yogurt, whatever,
How do you
off
know
thing,
they're actually
like, did she have to get a
She
permit?
did, because she's a business.
Yeah, they're for
Right.
profit, right? I mean,
But she
this is
wasn't
a
putting it on
profit
private.
business.
Yeah,
Who
she
is?
does have a permit.
This is a profit business, right? The food truck.
The food truck is, but it's not.
It's for the chamber.
It's a chamber.
Chamber.
sponsored.
Chamber is
Nonprofit.
sponsoring it,
So
and they're
Zion,
nonprofit, that's where they're
School
coming
sponsored a
from.
food truck, they are
So
exempt
they're-
from that. For, okay.
If it's like a private business doing it, they
Like
have
when
to have
Katie
one.
got that Aussie, she had to get
Right.
one then.
But when the Mill Creek Machining did, they did not because they.
That was on
private
property, yes.
So that's the
Okay.
two differences. If KT would have been able to put them on her own private property, she wouldn't have had one to get.
Right.
Because then it would have been private. So that's.
She had it up
the
front, so.
Right, she had it on city property, so she followed the rules and filled out the form, and we
Okay.
got all their copies of stuff, and
Okay.
I think everything went fine, I didn't get any that day.
So what article do you have there in
It's
the?
whatever was
in the
copied
code
behind
book?
with, I guess it's
Here.
yours. It's not in there, it's a different spot, this is not it.
This is just on
This is up for
The main
change.
thing.
The transient merchants is the one that has an ordinance on it. Are you reading that one?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
The-
I read that one
Peddler's
too.
permit was called
the
before.
peddler's permit,
Yeah.
and that's changed or,
Well, the peddler's permit would account for like when the guy went door to door and what was he selling?
Yeah,
Encyclopedias.
that says from house to house,
Yes, so that
on
was
public
that.
streets. Solicitor, is very similar, it says from house to house. Transient merchant, that would be if somebody comes in with the gypsy wagon that's trying to sell snake oil out of it.
Well, the guy that cleans the pillows has stuff.
Yeah,
Oh.
But if Jehovah's come to your house, they don't have to have one.
no, that would be an exemption for
But
religious or.
Under
profits.
Article 4, number 4, it says religious and charitable organizations exempt. And then it defines those. But I didn't see where it said chamber or nonprofit, it talks
They are
about
charitable.
Charitable
religious and
organizations
charitable
typically,
organizations.
Yeah.
Desire to solicit money or distribute literature shall be exempt from the operation. in
That
section-
doesn't say anything about sponsorship, does it?
No.
It just says, I would think that's like pie sales down at the park on Jamboree.
Yeah, that's, because they're not. the-
That's usually PEO, which
the
is a
money
charitable
is-
event also. a
The
charitable
monies from the food truck
organization.
is not going through the chambers,
That's why it's
accounting
not a,
system.
that's why it's not a for-profit situation. If the chamber was using it as a fundraiser, or any group or organization was,
That's why Taco
Then-
Torres should have had to have gotten a permit.
Right, then they would be exempt from the permit. Is that the way I understand? I mean, that's the way I understand it.
here, I have that. That's what this permit page is. So what does community permitted events mean to you?
I don't see that here.
It's on the form, it's on the official form, for the
It's
actual
on the
mobile food
permit
truck.
form.
This is the mobile food truck permit.
See, the only thing I have a problem with that is that you're not, all you're doing is bringing a food truck in. You're not having a jamboree, you're not having
Right.
that. They're coming in and doing regular business
Right.
and on city property.
But it was the chamber's idea.
It's the chamber's idea, but the chamber's not getting any money off of it, are
No,
they? Okay.
no, that's what
I'm
they
just
came and
asking
asked
because I'm worried that what happens if somebody because they're sitting on the city street, like they're on the city and something would happen, who would be liable? Would the city be liable, or would that food vendor be liable for
Or would the
something?
chamber be liable?
Or,
The
you know,
chamber should be liable.
The chamber
They're- if-
probably.
Chamber, I would
They
say,
are,
if they
because
sponsor
they're
the person to
sponsored.
come in, they have to be liable.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah, but there's no income or any of that charitable money going through the chambers.
They're not getting
I know,
anything.
that's what
Right.
I'm saying too.
It's all for profit for that food vendor.
Right.
Why does the chamber or anyone else need to make money out of it?
Not saying that, he's just saying because that would be the licensing, because it's a for-profit thing.
not like there's on that thing it says nonprofit, right? On the
Well,
Right,
the
it's-
chamber is nonprofit,
Yeah,
but
but
what they're
chamber's
coming back
sponsoring
from
it.
saying is, this gentleman is making money, and they're sponsoring him, or asking him to come in, but he's still making dollars.
He's the
There are any
peddler.
charitable food events.
No.
Food
The
trucks.
food truck is the peddler.
Even JW's
Yeah.
will.
And
I
make
kind
money.
of feel in a way he'd be better off if he had a permit,
Yeah, they have
Just-
to,
Yes,
because-
better revisit your,
or we have to change something on the form.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but I do kind of, because
just liability wise, like
chamber's not
Yeah,
getting
that doesn't
anything out of
Right.
it.
that doesn't change any of your liability. It still requires him to provide all the liability and insurance on your permit.
right.
It
Right, but
doesn't
if they-
transfer it to the city or take it away from the city.
but if we didn't get a permit from them, then we have nothing to fall back on.
They would be liable then.
I don't know.
The
That's,
city and it's Paullina, employees shall be named. as
Okay, so what if we
insurance.
do,
It sounds like we need to talk to Kent, find out about coverage.
yes, I
Who's
think we just
responsible?
need to check it out.
Who's
We do not
exposed?
want it, because they're gonna come every other week.
Ask
Or
the
have
chamber.
that revised.
Revised
The
so
chamber
that,
meets Wednesday.
so that everybody just,
That
whoever
should go
food vendor
to-
just gets a permit to be,
so what if we revise the permit but don't charge them for it?
Well, you have.
well, if you don't
Okay,
charge them, then when
now-
somebody comes and get
now
a
when
building
these
permit,
food
we're not
vendors
gonna
are coming
charge
in, Are
them.
they showing the
You know what I
city?
mean?
They're not
Can
showing
you
the
waive
city.
the-
They're,
Yeah, well,
they're
they
just showing,
do.
are they showing their food license?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah,
They do this,
that's,
but they're
that's
not
part of
doing-
the purpose of the, of
Yes,
that.
of that.
Okay, so charge them $1.
Well,
So do
but,
they come in and,
charge them
did they
some.
well,
show
wait a
us,
minute,
did
you
they
can't,
enter
you
that?
can't
They
do
did
that.
come in and do this
Because there's an
month
ordinance
before,
that
so
says
now,
how to
see, that's-
charge them, and you have to
I
change
just
that.
think it would be
Well,
safe.
can't we change
Yeah.
the ordinance for the council?
Maybe that's a good word.
I don't know how this food truck ordinance or.
I don't know who else.
I think we
State
just
did
came
tell
up
you,
with one,
or-
because
yeah.
when the first food truck came up, we had to have a permit or something, but I think it's just be
Well, that was
better.
what was, what they
Right.
weren't doing.
I just think it'd be better if they get a permit.
And I think this guy has done it long enough, he knows he's gotta have his license, he's got everything.
Yeah, it's not hard for them.
They gotta show, do they have to show you their licenses or the city?
The city.
I'm talking to the chamber.
Oh, no, in this case, it would be the city to do
City,
this
okay.
form.
But I'm saying that they're not
Or
filling
we-
out a permit though. They're just
Right,
coming in.
then yes, we should.
Then who's?
Again, anyone selling food out of a truck should
Yes,
be
but
able to
they-
provide that to all of you who walk up to the door. You
Yeah.
can ask for
Well,
their.
it's supposed to be
usually
hanging.
it's posted.
posted. But what I'm saying, did any of them do that? though? Provide their licenses and that?
Top of store.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
we didn't ask them.
okay.
So
They
we
only
need to
add-
have our attorney look at it, but it's top priority, it needs to be done before next time.
Next
Yeah,
day.
I think,
Yeah.
And 2 weeks.
I think too, we either check,
I'll say
somebody,
something.
either state or whoever, somebody tell us for sure what we're doing here.
Yeah, I think we were under the impression it was a nonprofit, and so the nonprofit run events according to that ordinance, which is the closest thing we have to a mobile food truck versus this permit page. That was
I
where
don't-
the,
and I don't see where it says, you must say it on
She
the
said it's on the
application.
form. But that isn't right either, it shouldn't say it there if it doesn't say it
It
there.
doesn't say it in the
That's right.
ordinance.
Yeah, and it should say both places.
did you, well, actually, did we amend that ordinance? Do you have the amendments in the
No,
back?
I don't have the amended version.
Yeah.
If we amended the ordinance,
We
that's
changed
that's
it
different.
about 2-3 years ago,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Yeah.
All this.
Yes.
I think we changed it like
I
my
mean-
first time being on here, and that would be, yes.
I think it was because of all the Christmas stuff.
We had this
Well,
whole
also
discussion
the
once before.
graduations.
And the
think you're
jamboree.
The jamboree, the graduations, and
And
stuff
then
like
COVID
that.
hit, and
Yeah, Ragbri, you had issues related to that, of similar use, where you asked for that. Peddler's permit was updated in 2020.
COVID year.
That's at least the notes we have there, so that's number 19. Which shows it has the copy of this permit in it. The mobile food vendor permit is behind it. It was read in 2020 and 21, published January 21. And it should be the same, well, I don't know if it's the same page you have here, but we can get a copy if no one has ordinance 19.
Yeah, that new book, Steve.
We have all this type of ordinance book.
Yeah, but I don't have the,
We don't have the updates.
this update that she's
I
talking
It'll be
about.
coming in the new books.
Yeah, the new books. So yes, here it talks about those. Did you have the same pages on? It doesn't specify what the changes are, so I can't just tell you what is amended. It amended the purpose, amended definitions. Religious and charitable organizations are exempt.
Yep.
Such organizations submit in writing. Newspapers, club members, farmers, students, milk delivery, resale, or institutional use, there's other things like that.
Yep. Application in writing.
Display page, you have to have their license provided, or whatever. They expire by 7 PM on the day, I mean, there's all that kind of stuff. Hearing if the licensee complains.
Yeah, so the expiration is 6 PM in here, so
Oh, so
we've
they
changed
extended
it.
it to 7 PM.
Yeah,
Okay, hours of operation is, 8 AM to 7 PM is
when solicitor licenses are allowed. So again, that was, I think, pertaining to said food trucks, but it doesn't really say food trucks. So we could look at that because other towns have modified their ordinances to specify it a little more clearer than this confusing. Because yeah, these two things don't really match very well.
Yeah, they shouldn't match.
So we can look at that and see what Tisha
Well, I know Bangor
recommends.
had some problems because they had the pizza ranch went down to the thing that didn't have a permit to go to the park. And I remember they stopped it.
Oh, for the fair?
I don't remember if it was the fair or
Fair is
what
separate,
it
'cause that's
was.
their
There was
property, I think,
something
but I think
that
it
was
was their-
going on.
Their cobblestone.
And so
reason.
she went down, she was gonna bring her stuff too, and they said, you have no permit, you gotta have a permit, and she didn't have it, so. And I don't know what they were doing or what their to-do was. It was around their days. They do in June.
Cobblestone.
You got that ordinance update there?
Yep.
You can look at it quick.
It's not very exciting, it's about the same.
Okay.
It's still confusing.
Well,
Okay,
What else?
so that, yes, well, we'll figure that out. And what else was on the list? We are addressing some nuisances and hence why the Myers are coming in regarding theirs.
Okay, I have a question since I'm on the nuisance committee.
Yeah.
Since I am the head of the nuisance committee, which was highlighted or that I'm on. Okay, so that's why I made that new nuisance thing. And then we were, like Michelle and I would communicate like which ones to go look at and which ones to send. But how, like, I never said, hey, go ahead and send this one and this one, but I'm getting phone calls because people know I'm on the nuisance committee and I'm not aware of it. So what is the role of a committee if the committee doesn't say send this and this out, I guess?
Well, Mr. Ordinance Book can read that out in the nuisance abatement section. That explains how that's supposed to happen, that it does not mention your committee at all, and so I don't know why you ever had committees that used to do it, but the committees are not entirely
So then-
your fault, but.
So we don't need a public and safety nuisance employee, parks and proper, like, we don't need any
I didn't say
committee?
that. I'm saying a nuisance committee. I don't know
Just
where.
that one committee, she
That
said.
you should not have had to do it, and you weren't doing it, Scott was doing it previously.
Without our, like,
Well,
we
you
were
gave
go-
it to him. when you
No.
guys- Yeah, you did.
because I asked him to send some out,
Yes, but I
And-
thought later then you said let him do it.
no.
Oh, I thought you did.
Well, who's supposed to do that?
Steve and I are on that committee.
Yeah,
Anybody
anybody's
can
on
turn
the
in a
committee,
nuisance
but who
violation.
follows through with it? I was on the committee at one time too.
Yeah.
And I would think our police department should be very active in this. And that was one thing I was gonna bring up tonight. The town has really gone downhill in the years since we've moved here in '96. And a lot of it is nuisance stuff and trash that needs to be cleaned up, and cars all over town that need to be towed off or junked or something. You can stand on one corner over here on the northeast side of town and count 3 cars that have been sitting there for a year or so and have no license plates on them. And that's just, I know you could find at least a half a dozen of that in town. And we need to restore some pride in our community. And it's really gone down the toilet, and I think it's pitiful.
Totally agree, and that's partly why we need to enforce the actual enforceable material that's in our ordinance book, which has not, when we sent some of these that Scott had sent previously, and we were following up with them, some of them said that had been there for 3 years in one case. 3 years there'd been a certain vehicle across the sidewalk or whatever. It's like, we can't say, well, that just makes it okay, you just now have to start doing the enforceable by the letter, by the book. That's what you have to go on, so it has to be taken, carried through, you're right, to the actual abatement process. If otherwise, you're just sending out letters or talking to people, as Scott did, I think, a lot of the time, first time we talked to people, always gave them the benefit of the doubt, gave them time, then sent letters.
Okay, so then my question is, are you wanting to get rid of the nuisance committee then? Or are we supposed to be doing our committee job? Like, I don't wanna send 80 letters out in 1 month, because then we're gonna have everybody in here, we're gonna be, I mean, a lot of people might come and appeal or all
Yeah,
this, so
you're
that's
right.
why I'm like, we need to send so many out, or whatever, and that's just my question. I'm on the nuisance committee and I got phone calls and I'm like, I have to inform them I didn't know anything about this. I would follow up, or then they said they appealed it, and I'm just like, okay, so I just wanna know what, as a head person on the nuisance committee, what am I supposed to do? Are we getting rid of the nuisance committee and which is, or am I, or Steve and I still on the nuisance committee? That's, I guess, my question.
I don't think there was any new ones. These were just follow-ups from ones Steve had done. There wasn't any new ones.
You mean,
Or Scott.
Okay.
Scott had
Well,
done.
maybe when you
So-
guys get, somebody comes in here and complains,
that's why I'm like, okay, that's why I'm like, once a week I would
rather
come in here and be like, okay, I'm gonna take them, we're gonna go drive around, we're
So
gonna
you
figure
know.
out which ones we should send out of the worst and go from there. But I guess I don't know if that's my job anymore, or is that, I guess, what does the ordinance say?
The ordinance in chapter 2 of nuisances, article 9, 9.01, it says nuisance, it's under nuisance abatements, which would mean somebody says you need to take care of this nuisance.
Okay,
Whenever the mayor or authorized municipal officer finds that a nuisance exists or condition needs to be corrected, he or she shall cause to be served upon the property owner a written notice to abate the nuisance within a reasonable time after notice. With that said, the mayor or authorized municipal officer.
so am I
that-
off?
So the mayor or authorized officer would be the clerk or the city superintendent, or deputy clerk.
We haven't,
That's the way,
Yeah.
that's the way I
because on
understand that.
here it says,
Doing.
uninforming, enforcement for all city or all current codes and ordinance, regular reports, follow up with the abatement via fees, legal actions, termination with this, so like, we're supposed to go and talk to the city clerk or administration for updated ordinance to reflect vision, like, tell them which, that's the way I say, like, I'm supposed to come to Michelle and be like, hey, can you send this one and this one out? Or is that saying,
or if
She
they hear
sends
one,
it.
they can let you
I
know.
can let
Right.
you know.
And I also feel we should be telling Nate, because when you see a lot of vehicles and stuff like that, he needs a copy of that nuisance, because some of that, you guys can't do anything about.
no, that's why that's
You
why
can send
we,
him the letter,
Right.
but he's the one
and then
that's
we
gotta
can,
make it
that's when
work.
we can inform Nate, hey, we need to follow up on this, but
Right,
I
and he's
just,
the one on some of that's gotta do it.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering, and I know Lexi's wondering it more than I am. What is our responsibility as nuisance committee then?
like
I
Jay
think
and I
we
are on the
find
airports
nuisances.
committee, are we
Is it
still
no
have,
longer
are we
our
on?
responsibility?
I feel
Or-
you should
How
let
many,
people.
how many did you send out in the last year when you were on the ordinance?
I didn't send any out.
How many did you instruct Scott to send out?
I talked to him for
don't
quite a few
remember.
that I talked to him
Yeah,
about.
we talked to them.
Well, I think that's what that ordinance says though, is you two on the committee tell them what to
Which
do.
ones
Right, and
That's their-
which ones, and
that's their job to-
before we even had a city
enforce
clerk,
it.
I signed
That's
my
what we're trying
name.
to clarify.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. right
But
in
there was a few that I told
Just tell them
Scott.
to call the city office then.
Okay.
Just say, I don't know, call the city office. They're responsible. They're the
Yeah, I'm gonna
agents.
forward
Yeah,
it.
forward
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, that's what I'm, that's what
That's
we're
what I'm
trying to
getting at, so
clarify.
I'm not on that
If we
committee. is what
No,
I'm-
you're on the
No, you
committee.
still stay on the
You're
committee.
still on the committee and you're
Yeah.
finding stuff and Steve's
But
finding
you don't have to
stuff
sign.
and that, but
But
you
you
don't
don't
have to
have to
sign off on
sign
it.
it.
You
Just
inform
say, hey, go ahead and
Michelle
send this.
or
Yeah,
Brenda.
tell them and they
Tell
can
them
tell you if
and
they get
they're the
everything
ones that
going.
look at it.
Yeah, no, I think you should stay
And
on it.
Things get
And
done.
if somebody calls me in the evening at 9 o'clock at night and says, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? I got this letter,
Yep,
refer them to City Hall.
yep, say, yep,
Okay.
exactly.
I
They're the officers.
I would be good with that, yes.
Pick up that dead cat that's been laying uptown for a week.
Yeah, on the
Oh,
boulevard.
On the
yeah.
boulevard.
Yeah,
This
can you
dead
do
cat's
that?
been laying there for over a
Can you
week
put
on
that
the
on your-
boulevard.
Wouldn't that be the city?
Yeah, you can't tell me they haven't
No
seen that.
vision
driving
of traffic is
by.
around here. There's no reason Nate couldn't fill this in and be the assigned person to contact them. People will respect the police officer before they will some other city
Well-
employee normally.
I get that, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to really clarify what our responsibility was as,
What you're
Bring
doing.
the
on the
nuisance
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
so if we see a nuisance, we turn it
Yep.
into the
Because I
city.
came up here or
To
even
go.
texted or called Scott up here and be like, hey, this one and this one needs to be sent out, or this one and this one needs to be sent out. I don't know if he ever did or not, that I don't know. But I have called him and I have said to send some out.
Well, I know Nate's worked on them because he goes around and checks the license plates and the condition of the cars.
Yeah.
I've talked to him
Given a
about
few
that
tickets,
before,
I think.
yeah.
So that's the direction we'll go then. If we
Yep.
see a nuisance, we'll just turn it into City Hall and then.
Any of us can really, you
Yeah,
know, but
right.
you guys are
Like
two
your
on the
form.
committee.
Okay,
And it goes to the officers of the city.
yeah, so we just wanted clarification on what our role was.
Yep, yep, sounds good.
Then you don't have
Yep.
to put up with anybody.
Yeah, then, yeah.
Well, that's it,
Get that
then you don't
call,
have
like
to
you
be
said.
the heavy.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
nuisances, and the other part of that is zoning and building permits. So we had a building permit that had expired in October, and they're still working on it. And do you want to give us any sort of update? So.
He's
Oh,
got,
that's right.
he's got a company that's coming. They're starting May 6th. He's already paid a third when they signed a contract for it. And then he pays another third on May 6th when they come. And hopefully,
And they're gonna finish up kind of what needs to be done for you guys.
good deal.
Okay.
So that so we had him, ask them to fill out a new one, first of all, because a lot of the project had changed and they were asking about modifying a height on one part. And so instead of modifying the expired zoning permit, we had him fill out a new one. And we'll drop that off to you. Yeah. So that's that.
So doesn't that have to do with the zoning and board, or does that?
We don't really seem to have a process for what happens when they run out of time and have not been done and finished. And so that was not specified.
Didn't Carol direct us just to have him?
Redoing the
I would just have
resolution.
to do
Yeah.
it, yeah.
And then
Redo it.
that gives, because we were asking about a time and he said about 90 days, he hoped to get it completed and wrapped
He's
up.
got somebody coming in and
So,
the weather's been, you know, it's winter time.
Which they're supposed to start on Saturday, so will
Yeah,
that
and it's
all be
pretty high,
good?
it's pretty high roof up there for John to get up on his own. And I go by there and I'm like, oh God, John, don't do that on your own.
I just
I would too.
And I know it's supposed to rain, John did contact them and they said which I know, past people that we've talked to that done business, they said rain doesn't bother them, they just keep working. They have
50
gold,
mile an hour wind.
that's what I would
Yeah, I was
say,
gonna
they
say,
probably say
Sunday
no
I
to
was
a
up
problem.
there.
I wouldn't have either.
Yeah,
Wouldn't have either.
that was a dust bowl.
so yeah, I think that, because they weren't asking for a zoning variation or anything, it's just a new
Yeah.
permit to extend the time of work.
Just extended.
Okay.
Extending
Thanks,
it.
Candy, so that's all.
So is that something that then, once it's signed and everything, we need to have at the house, or just as long as you guys have it filed and?
We'll get you a copy
We'll
of it.
get
Yeah, I
you
was
a
gonna say,
copy.
they'll get you a copy too.
Yeah.
You wanna have it just in case.
Well, yeah,
That, just to keep everything.
because our last one disappeared,
Yeah, it did.
so thankfully we had a copy of it.
Yes.
Okay.
And now we have like 3 copies of it in here, in different spots, because that happened to another one, we've hidden a few spots, just in
Where are these
case.
hiding?
They have legs. I don't know.
I
don't know.
I don't even wanna know.
Yeah,
I think there's somebody that's eating them.
So, yeah, thank you, Candy. All right, I don't know that there was anything else at this point. I do not see Nate here, Tish is not here, Kelly's not here. Michelle, anything to add?
I do not.
And we don't have any of the other department heads here. Any committees want to talk at first impressions?
I think the only thing, Ryan got a hold of me and he's at a track meet also, but they are gonna set up the phones that, kinda like what the ambulance has, but they've got the money in the budget, so I told him there's not a problem then. So he will start that way, he will have his own, he just doesn't wanna use his personal phone at all.
Taylor's gonna be carrying around 3 phones.
And so,
I'm not joking.
Oh, yeah.
He did mention that to me, and I would talk to Mark Cody the other day, and he said that people had asked him about getting dinner date back here in Paullina, and he said they are working with Lake Park through what do they call that? Elder House or whatever it's called. Anyhow, so thought I'd bring it up if we think we want to get it out to the public, if it'd be something that we would like to do again in Paullina and get it started again.
Does Kelly Lux not come anymore? Because didn't they kind of do something?
I think he's just doing his regular one. Yeah, he used to do it here.
Yeah, he used to do one here.
But now this is through Lake Park, and it's through that Elder Bridge or whatever they call that. And they have, Sutherland's got a full 5 days. I don't know that we want to do that much at first, maybe just a day. And if we do the trucks here on Mondays or every other Monday, maybe we'll want to do, I don't know, Wednesday. But they do need people to help. They need like 2 people, at least site supervisors, they call them. They do get paid. What, I do not know. So, and it, like I said, it comes out of Lake Park. And somebody wants to see the menu for May. I gave everybody one, but we can leave one here in the city. So, if anybody wants to talk to people and see if they're interested, or if there is an interest at all, I don't
That's a
know.
pretty good price too.
Is that something we need to approve or no?
Well, I think if we maybe want to send out something on Facebook or something like that, if there are people are interested, if we want to get it started, maybe we want to wait till fall. I don't know. But I know there's a lot of single people that maybe would enjoy having a meal they can come to.
Maybe that's something the chamber wants to look into.
Yeah.
I don't know
To,
if they
head up.
want to get involved in it or not,
I know it used to be pretty successful when Kelly
Yeah.
had it
but
Good community service.
in here. Yes,
it is, and it's, the price is very cheap, and
It's cheap.
And like I said, the meals look good. A lot of times you have enough meal for one at lunch if you have it for night. I mean, it's, especially if it's like a single person. So, like I said, I just thought he said that he had people that kind of got a hold of him and wanted to know if Paullina would be interested again. And I don't know if it was ever full-time, was it? Even with Kelly?
Tuesday, Thursday.
I thought they came in on Mondays.
Yeah, I thought Mondays too.
Okay. I don't remember if it was
I
full-time.
used to deliver for Mark Cody during COVID
Yes, and he said they are still delivering some too.
to
In
Paullina.
Sutherland also.
No, they do to Sutherland.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they stopped doing Paullina. But, and I've been trying to get that program back in Paullina since they stopped. Because it dropped like one meal 3 times a week or something. I've talked to a lot of people, and the most recent was talking with Dee Hoger and the new VA
Oh,
for
yeah, over there.
Legion Auxiliary. They said they're doing something out of Zion.
Oh,
So I don't know if that's different, and or if it's just for.
and they would take them, they're delivering them, or are they gonna have a place for people to eat?
I don't want to speak for them, so I would say talk to her
Zion
or
delivers.
Stacy.
They do now even?
They do this one meal, and then they call the elderly and ask them if they want to sign up for this. And if they do, then they get together and they make a meal, and then they have certain people that they deliver them to. They don't do it, I'm trying to think, not every week. I'm not sure if it's once a month that they're doing this. But I know a lot of the elderly people, a lot of them I play cards with, get these meals.
But they
And
only get
they-
like once a month or
yeah.
something?
And they get them delivered, and they love it.
Well, and like I said, I didn't know they were even doing that. I said I would present it. And if anybody was interested, we have to get a hold back to the person in Lake Park, and
Maybe that's something like, maybe we can contact Dee Hoger if she was willing to come and talk, and maybe they would be willing to do it more than
and work with the same
one
site.
time a month or something.
Yep,
Well, they're just doing it with the members of Zion.
Just the members,
Just the
nobody.
members of
Okay.
Zion.
Okay,
They are not doing it for anyone else.
okay.
I'd be glad to
Actually-
have them come to my house, but I'm not a member of Zion. I know St. John's.
So am I, so wouldn't the,
Yeah.
okay.
If somebody wants to learn more about that from Mark, you can make some okay money. I mean, if somebody wants to just take on the program through Elder Bridge, there's a couple of different ways they do it. You
Yeah,
can-
I was amazed how far they're coming
He's a
from
holiday.
Lake Park. But he said they
That's
stopped.
where the caterer is. where
Yes,
the
and then they go
kitchen.
to Cheaton and they come on down. I don't know if Hartley had it, if he said they did. And then they come to Sutherland, so.
Hartley has that Red's Cafe, does it?
Is he still doing
I
it?
think he's still doing
Okay.
it.
So anyhow, that just
That's
for
a
your
thought.
information, or if anybody feels in here that people are interested, we've got something that we can, so
I know
you have
it's
to take
not
it on.
part of the committee, but I've had quite a few people ask me about Saving Grace Daycare. Is that cahoots or is it?
They were doing some
limbo,
interviewing.
or-
Wasn't it last week when we were here? The
Pastor came in.
pastor came in, and they
Okay.
were interviewing, that was on
They're interviewing
Tuesday, I
somebody,
think.
okay. Somebody was asking me about the child.
We've got quite a few close here.
Okay.
We don't really have anything, we'll just
Don't
pass
have
along
anything.
pastor to
Okay.
handle that, I don't know
So
what
so
the
they're
other
looking for a new one.
That's the goal, I
Probably,
think,
yep.
to get it back going.
So,
One other thing I forgot, and I almost said it, Primgar wants our workshop,
Oh,
May
that's right.
9th or May 16th at 5:30 PM here this time, since we went up there.
What days are those?
Both Tuesdays.
Tuesdays,
Tuesdays.
so May 9th or May 16th? That would be next Tuesday, okay.
Let's take one of those, so I can tell them,
So we have city council meeting the day before.
yes.
I would say let's do May 9th, so we're not back to back on the.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, let's do May 9th. Because we'll do the 15th, we'll have one, our own meeting.
I said let's do May 9th
May 9th.
because.
It's not
of-
back to back.
So it's not back to back.
Yeah.
Right, I agree.
Okay, Tuesday the 9th, 5:30, everyone's got that on their calendar.
No, would you send out a reminder?
I can, yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell Carol that.
And the workshop is
And then
here.
they'll come here, yeah, they'll probably go over there.
Yep.
Since we don't have enough room or chairs here.
Yep, and Kelly, and then we're supposed to come to.
You said in Primgar?
No,
here,
Paullina.
Here.
So they were here last time, or we were there last time.
But they've got no chairs.
No, come bring some chairs.
We got yours.
So any other council comments before we open opportunity to the public? Anyone wants to add? Okay, Glenda, have anything for us?
No, not really. I have a question though. You send out these nuisance letters. How do you enforce them?
It's in the ordinance book exactly how you abate a nuisance.
Okay. Since it seems like Maple Street just really gets nailed.
What?
With what?
I don't know why.
With what?
With what?
Well, the nuisance is on Maple Street and there's several of them, I'm sure.
Well, that property is not on Maple Street that we're looking at.
But the person that owns it is.
Yeah, but the property in nuisance is not on Maple Street.
Okay, just forget it.
Okay,
Well, it
you,
is,
hey,
it is.
guys,
Forget it.
No, I'm just saying.
correct,
Done.
it is behind, it is on
I just
Broadway,
asked a
right here.
question.
It is behind, but yes.
In that case. which
Glenda,
shall be
ask
here.
them how much they spent on attorney fees for the Yellow House on Main.
The what?
The Yellow House up on Main.
Yeah,
Yellow
that's
House.
not,
That's for
that's not
sale.
my,
Everyone's
I
got it.
can't ask anybody
Oh.
questions.
What's for
about
sale?
like-
Yeah.
And I can't afford to.
Seeds.
Yellow house?
Seeds.
Yeah, that sounds just almost good.
Yeah.
You guys don't
I
have
was
to-
told to be good.
We had a boat, we
That's
got
what
it,
they
and Charlie
That's what
River,
they painted
we got
it.
it, we had, we told them to get a bulldozer there.
Pretty
and
much.
We almost had the thing parked in the front yard.
Yeah, the front yard, and then we got that.
We were begging us not to, and now they just told ain't gonna fix it.
So I think we, go ahead.
To answer your question, Glenn, it says, abatement by city, if the person notified to abate a nuisance or condition neglects or fails to abate it as directed, which means if the city says you need to clean up this property and they don't, the city may perform the required action to abate, keeping an accurate account of the expense incurred. The itemized expense account shall be filed with the clerk, who shall pay such expenses on behalf of the city. So what that means is the city will determine how they are going to abate it. If they hire somebody to do it, or if they do it themselves, or whatever.
And that goes against the park.
And then it goes against the property. It doesn't say who's gonna abate the nuisance, but it gives the city the authority to do so.
Okay. And then if they don't do that, there's also municipal infraction to be charged.
And that, yeah, there's, expenses incurred, if the amount extended to abate the nuisance or condition exceeds $500, the city shall permit the assessment to be paid in up to 10 installments, to be paid in the manner and with the same interest as benefited property under Iowa code. So there's an Iowa code that tells the city what they can charge and how they can do that.
There's a whole process for impounding a dog or a vehicle or that is tied to name, obviously, and
Thank you.
that is. Okay, any other questions from our guests? Covered? Charlie, anything?
I guess the only thing I could add to this abatement deal, this is a pet peeve of mine, people probably got tired of listening to it. The old shooting house down here, that has not been done to that for 10 years. And that truck's been stored there.
Is that Wamba's house?
Yeah.
Okay.
And something needs to be done about that. That is an eyesore. It's right there on Main Street and Maple, and it's ridiculous.
Not me.
I think the house has got good bones. I can see it burned down, but it needs to be taken apart and rebuilt, and somebody needs to take it under their wing.
Yeah.
And I think the city needs to, we should have rules somewhere in the state of Iowa that has an effect on houses that have stood unused and were not usable.
That was my question last week. I said we somehow maybe need to make an ordinance, or how do we do it that you have to live in a house for so many months out of the year. I understand older people or retired people snowbird and go out in the winter, but that's what I want to.
A lot of towns have a similar ordinance.
Yes.
If you own a home that's a rental or something like that, and it just stands, it can only stand
Yes.
so long.
Yes.
Now, I know there's one house back over this way, a little doghouse thing, that needs some serious help. And I went to the owner when it was turned into me on the nuisance thing, and he said, well, I'm not gonna do anything because I'm gonna tear it down. Well, it's still standing, and when I was told that'd been 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, that kind of garbage need to be dealt with.
Right.
I think there is a definition for an abandoned house.
There is.
Derelict properties can be, yep, we can take action on anything that doesn't have utilities for 6 months, so that's our.
By the way, I did find a flamethrower online.
Is it legal to buy?
What
Yeah.
are we gonna do with that? We just start doing it?
Yes.
Targets.
Okay, get the fire
Well,
department around when you
Yeah,
throw.
let's see, well, with that, I think we've come to the end of our agenda. And just again, noting household hazardous waste disposal today went fine. People were kind of steady through there all day, dropping things off, I think, and hopefully that went well. There were a few people that missed it, so we've gone there about how to contact them and do that directly. They're on their own, and
You're driving over there.
we've been selling a lot of virtual flags. Michelle's rolling in that and making our list all here for Kelly and the guys, and so that is until this Friday that people have to buy that, and then next Tuesday, when we have our council meeting, we'll have the town being all cleaned up, I guess.
Well, that'd be great. Have we heard any more from anybody about doing the Johnson property at the cleanup?
No.
Kelly was supposed to give us
Kelly's gonna
estimates,
get
get bids or
Okay.
something, so.
Yeah, he had got it
And
from
we're waiting for the
SEC,
other
but
one.
that.
Yeah, and I haven't had
they
a
wouldn't
chance to
remove
talk
it.
with Chad, but I
Chad
will.
hasn't either, okay.
Yeah, we should try to get that.
So we can move it maybe before the end of June.
I was gonna say, I really don't think we can enforce
Nothing.
cleanups unless we have our, unless
Well,
our
this is
property
it,
is
we need to
clean.
get ours cleaned up.
Exactly.
You know,
I agree.
we need to set the example.
Yes.
If we don't have our hot places clean, don't look very good.
Yes.
Exactly. All of us included.
I'll make the motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Lexi and Steve made the motion in a second to adjourn. Any other discussion, questions? Otherwise, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned, 7:15 PM.
They didn't do, was there anything that had to be done or anything?
No. Michelle, is there anything that we need to take a look at or anything?